Welcome to Hate to Wait, where two lifelong dieters talk about their current struggles with weight loss. Diets, we've tried them all. We are not doctors. We don't play them on TV or on this podcast. Join our journey because misery loves company.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, John.
Does misery love company?
I don't know, actually. I feel like we need to maybe change that up because we're a very positive group and a very positive podcast for the most part. We have our slips off the wagon. And I think when we originally wrote that, we were like, this is impossible. We're not going to lose weight unless we start a podcast to do it.
Right. It's funny. I'm thinking to myself, we need a falling off the wagon soundboard clip. Something like where we fall off the wagon. I have to get one of those.
I feel like if we could get Melissa Brilliant to do her, oh no, we'd be all set.
We could
for
do
falling
that.
off the wagon.
Yes. Yeah. Do I have one of them? I don't know. If not,
I
don't have one here, but yes.
I just love her. I want to be her like in 10, 15 years. I want to be Melissa.
Well, she's
by the way, this is John's co-host on Brilliant Observations with Jessica Kupferman. And every time Melissa talks, I'm just like, she's so smart. There's a reason her last name is Brilliant.
Yeah, she married a guy named Brilliant. That's why her last name
But
is
she's
Brilliant.
also really smart.
Okay.
Anyway, let's talk about weight loss.
Yes, let's talk about weight loss.
ADHD.
So how was your week?
Okay. So this has been the week, actually, maybe 9 days, where I scheduled all my doctor's appointments because I had been putting them off, and some of them had been many, many years longer than I should have waited. Like my eye exam, I haven't gone to the eye doctor in 4 years. My prescription didn't change all that much, so I was pretty happy about that. But I also went to the lady doctor yesterday. And again, okay, going back to Brilliant Observations, I know you just talked about the lady doctor over there, but you're going to talk about it here. So the lady doctor, I got on the scale. It was the first time I had been there in 2 years. I skipped last year's appointment, but 2 years since having my son, when I was 50, close to 60 pounds heavier. And so I got on the scale and I loved it. I loved every minute of getting on the scale there and being like, yeah, look at that. Look at that.
Stand back. I am stepping on the scale.
I know. I was so happy about getting on the scale and showing her this new number. And then we got into family history, and a lot had happened in the 2 years. And I had to say, well, my mom has this now, and my dad has these complications. I'm running through the list of all the things. And then she starts asking me about me. And she's like, have you ever had any operations? And I was like, oh, when I was a kid, I had ear tubes put in. That was about it. And she's like, really? I'm like, wisdom teeth. And she's like, that doesn't count. Don't worry. And then I got to get my blood pressure drawn. My blood pressure was 178 over 118. So I was happy about that. And she was like, do you drink? And I was like, no, actually, I kind of stopped drinking.
Wait, hang on a second. Your blood pressure was what?
118 over 78.
Okay, you said 178 over 118.
Oh, no.
I was like, let's get you to the hospital now.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm telling you, the blood ran out of my face when you told me that. I was like, what?
I would not be here. No, she was very happy with my blood pressure.
Okay. I don't know if that should be an edit point or not. I think I should leave that in.
No, just leave it in. And so if you go and get your blood pressure drawn and it's 178 over 18,
yeah,
go to
the doctor immediately.
Yeah, go to the doctor. That's bad.
Okay.
But if it's the other way around, if it's 118 over 78, you're
perfect.
Fine. Yeah. She's like, do you smoke? And I'm like, no, I quit smoking and vaping too. And she's like, okay, you don't drink. And she's like, what do you do for fun? And so through the whole exam, I was talking about podcasting. It was very, very bizarre to have somebody down there doing things and like, oh, so tell me about your podcast. I'm like, I don't really want to right now. I just kind of want to stare at the ceiling and drift off into space.
Oh.
But
okay, so she was talking to you during the examination.
Yes.
Got it.
But all the questions were fun. Like I loved talking about the questions.
Right.
And being like, yeah, I don't do that anymore. And I'm intermittent fasting and I've lost weight. And then she asked, do you exercise? And I finally got to say yes and be truthful about it. And I was like overly excited to be able to say yes, not just well, sometimes. It was like, no, I do yoga every single day. I wanted a sticker. I did. I wanted to go to the doctor and get a sticker and a lollipop and a good job. I got a good job, but yeah.
No, it's amazing. And I got to tell you, this is the reason why we started this podcast, because if we didn't do this, I don't know if that appointment would have went as well.
Mm-mm.
You've done a fantastic job in this past year. And now look what's going on. It's not like I have to go to the doctors. It's I get to go to the doctors.
I know. I was so excited about the lady doctor, more excited than I should have been about the lady doctor. But I left. I wanted to skip, and I went on Instagram stories. Actually, this was interesting. I went on Instagram stories when I had my eye doctor appointment. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to my eye doctor. Here I am at the eye doctor. And then I got to my gynecologist appointment, and I was like, why wouldn't I talk about this? Half the population should be going to the eye doc, or half the population should be going to the gynecologist. And the other half should be reminding those women who they love to go to the gynecologist.
Yeah. Again, listen, guys are the same thing. I could see it now if I was at getting a proctologist exam and he's like, hey, tell me about your podcast. I'm like, yeah, as soon as you get your finger out of my derriere there, Dr. Joe Biden.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I understand that. There's certain times you don't want people to talk to you. It's like, get this done, get it over with. We're not that friendly.
But she was very sweet. Actually, I loved her. I loved how friendly she was. This was the first time I saw her. She was actually, so I go to a doctor's group and my primary OBGYN is there, but the midwife, the nurse midwife on staff had more openings. So I went to her, and this was the first time I had met her. And she's just lovely. And I want to go to her all the time because she also told me about something for the story behind my other podcast. And I was telling her I do a podcast about everyday objects. And she's like, well, do you know why brooms are associated with witches? And it was early in the days of midwifery. The midwives would come, deliver the babies, and clean the house. And then during the Middle Ages, when midwives all of a sudden were put under the category of, oh, we don't want that sort of herbal magic. Any magic is the devil. Midwives kind of got turned into witches by the church, and the brooms associated with cleaning up got associated with them. And I was like, oh, that is fascinating. If we weren't just in the middle of an exam and I didn't not also have my pants on and no clothes, I would have grabbed my phone and recorded her for the podcast, but it was a little awkward. Like, hey, I'm recording. I still have a sheet over my legs and my hoo-ha's,
in full display.
Yeah, exactly. But I gotta tell you guys this. So that was my appointment. And I encourage every lady out there, if you haven't gone in a while, definitely get that appointment. And any men out there, if you have ladies in your lives that you love, remind them gently. Be like, hey, not in a way that will insult them. Have you been to the doctor lately for down there? Don't do that. You'll get in trouble. But
women don't like being told what to do. I've noticed that.
I know, but see, I don't know how to say it in a way like, just hug your woman and be like, I love you. I love your vagina. I want it to be healthy. That's all. That's all you have to say. That's it.
Yeah, and then as you let go, protect yourself. Always protect yourself out of a clinch. Marriage is like boxing at times.
You could both go to the doctors then.
Yes. Can you stitch him up and check out this? Right.
Yeah. I was very happy. It was a good appointment, and I'm glad I did it. And it's one of those things I wouldn't have done again had it not been for the podcast, because I'm like, I can't keep talking about all this stuff and not go to a doctor and actually get things checked. I mean, I can do a self-assessment, but I'm no professional.
Yeah. It's funny because where I'm going for bariatric surgery, the group has a great website. And then when you go there, it has all your appointments on there. And it also, when your test results come in, they just come up. There's your test results. So me, I'm in there. So I'm in there and I'm taking these things and I'm Googling what they're saying. I'm like, that's pretty good.
Okay, at least you're not going into Facebook groups, because I'm sure people do that. And they're like, what does this mean? And they're asking other people who aren't.
Right. No. Well, I know a few doctors that I could actually talk about this, but, it is what it is. So I'm sorry, are you done with your week?
That was my week. I have one more doctor's appointment tomorrow. It's the dentist, so it doesn't have anything to do with weight loss. Although it will be no, I haven't even changed my diet, so it won't be interesting to see if intermittent fasting did anything for my teeth. I don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe Maybe, actually, because you're not eating for 16 hours, maybe your teeth have a chance to kind of recover and the saliva to come back and clean everything. I don't know. That'll be interesting. I don't know. I'll have to ask him.
It's really cool. I'm glad you're doing all this.
Yeah, yeah. And now I have reminders set. Actually, it was really nice at the doctor yesterday. She was like, "Do you want to make your appointment for next year?" And I was like, yes, absolutely. Or else I won't make it. I won't make it otherwise.
Get it on the calendar. It's absolutely correct. If you do not make that appointment, I'm so bad with that.
And I don't want to call. It takes me a whole afternoon to get up okay. I have to call my doctor. I have to ask for an appointment. And what trips me up is the vocabulary. I never know, should I ask for an annual appointment, even though it's been 2 years? It'll trip me up. I don't know if that's the ADHD or a little bit of OCD there, but I'm just like, I need an appointment. The annual one, but it's not annual for me. And then they have to ask you, when was the last time you were here? And I'm like, 2 years ago. And you feel all bad and guilty. Then you get it over with.
See, if you're a Catholic, you could go, bless me, gyno. It's been 2 years since my last operation. Kind of like the confession thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm kind of in between doctors. Like I had a doctor and I wasn't crazy. We just didn't have the same philosophy. She was talking me out of the intermittent fasting. She was talking to me about all this other stuff. And I honestly, now I'm just going to be honest. I felt judged by her every time I went in there, to the point where I didn't want to go,
yeah.
right? So then I decided to go to someone else, and I don't know what it is about that. So Cooper, where I'm going for the bariatric surgery, I think I'm switching all my doctors to Cooper. And now that you've just said that, that makes me want to do that even more. Because there's some things that are going on with me that doesn't really have anything to do with weight loss. Well, I shouldn't say that. Everything has to, all your health has to do with weight loss. So my right knee, the outside of my right knee is absolutely killing me. And I'm hoping it would go away, and I've been icing it and all, and it's not. So I have to go have it looked at. So I'm going to have to go to an orthopedic guy. And this kind of comes into my week too, is I had a family member come over and come in and basically sit down and say, the whole family's talking about you. And I was like, oh, really? Well, I have a message for them. Stop talking about me. Or don't tell me you're talking about me, because I don't care. Whatever your opinion of me matters not one iota to me.
Yeah.
All right. You don't know my pain. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know all you're doing is you're sitting outside and judging. And you can keep that judginess to yourself.
And no matter how often they're around you, but I also know that you are alone a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how often they're around you, they get a snapshot. It might be a larger snapshot than others, but they're just getting a snapshot. Even with this podcast, we're combining our weeks into this tiny concentrated 30 to 40 minute thing. We're leaving out so many little details about our everyday lives and everyday struggles. And if you're a dieter, if you're somebody who's been overweight all the time, maybe at least once or twice an hour, maybe you might think about it. And sometimes it gets to that point, even just once or twice a day. Even when you're losing weight, you're constantly thinking about it. And that's one of the reasons that intermittent fasting for me worked so well, is because I only have 8 hours a day where I have to think about eating. And the rest of the time it's like, oh, it's not my window. I don't have to think about it. Boom. Boom. It's so freeing. I love it.
Yeah, it's true. And then, so with me, I started to think about, well, what are they talking about? And a lot of it is I just do not go places because, first of all, like right now, my knee's killing me. So that's an issue. And I kind of cocoon myself in here. So honestly, I feel like next year I'll be having my week where I'm saying, hey, I'm starting to go to different things, different family functions and all, because I can get it out, move around, do things. Like I said before, I talked about seeing some of, like on Instagram, they have the surgery hashtag for bariatric surgery. And you see some of the people in there and talk to people that have had the surgery, and it's really changed your lives. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. But your health is your first $1 million, and you don't realize that until you don't have your health anymore.
Yeah, when I was going through my parents' history, I also started thinking about how much of this stuff had happened to them or had started to happen when they were my age and younger than my age. Like I have an uncle on my dad's side of the family who had a heart attack at 30. Crazy,
right?
Yeah. And I'm thinking and I remember hitting 30 and being like, oh man, I used to think like a heart attack at 30, you're getting up there in age. And then when I turned 30, I was like, whoa, this is young. This is really young. This is too young to have a heart attack. I barely even know like how to raise a child or anything right now. And my uncle had a heart attack at this age. It's crazy.
And it starts and it gets worse as you get older. I mean, now this year coming up, I'll be going to my 40th high school reunion. 40th.
Oh, wow.
How's that?
When is that?
It's in November.
November. So that'll be post-op.
It'll be post-op.
Did that have anything? This is the first time hearing of it. So did that have anything to do with your decision? Because I know when people know reunions are coming up, they could get a little crazy. But I mean, at 40 years, you're kind of like, meh.
No, honestly, okay. So the reason of the surgery is because I've been floundering for a year.
Yeah.
Here, and that's why I'm doing it. And I don't care about, I mean, it'll be nice to go to there and be down, some weight, but they haven't seen me I'm trying to think how long it's been. Do we have one every 5 years, right? When do you do? I forget when it is.
We used to do ours every 5 years, but after the 10th year, I think my class got lazy. I had one of those classes that were kind of like the class above us did everything, and then the class below us also did everything, and we were just kind of like, we'll just go along with you guys.
So
come on.
I don't know if the last 5 years, one before this, I might have lost 100 pounds. So I might look heavier when I go there than I do than I did last time. So then someone will say to me, "Oh, you gained a lot of weight." Okay. So, and again,
would somebody say that? Would somebody actually say that?
Oh, in your high school reunion? Absolutely they would.
Really?
Yes. I went
Your generation. You guys are mean.
I went to school with some assholes. I'm telling you. They would absolutely walk up and say something like that to you.
Well, actually, no, you know what? That's actually better because I feel like where I am in New England, it's kind of preppy. And so maybe they would actually say the stuff behind my back because I'm like, how dare somebody say that to your face? And then I'm realizing, no, probably people say more stuff behind your back here.
Yeah, I know. It's like, when you go to these things and there's some people that haven't showed up to one in 15 years and they show up and you're looking at them and no recognition whatsoever.
Yeah, no.
It's crazy. So, yeah, that is what I'm really. So next year, this time, I hope to be out moving around, exercising more, doing things. This is what happened to me is that you lose it so slow. It's like when they say you can boil a frog by raising the temperature in the pot a degree. You can boil them alive by just raising it a degree because they never know to get out because they don't realize the temperature is so hot. It's the same thing that happens when you gain weight. You gain a little, and then you lose a little bit of mobility. And you don't really, you make an adjustment, then a little bit. Next thing you know, you're trying to figure out a place where you can throw your leg up so you can put a sock on. Then it goes worse and worse and worse. Now you're chasing your shoes around, trying to put your shoes on. And you're like,
and you no longer buy shoes with laces at that point because you're like, nope.
Yeah, you want slip-on shoes, all right? So then so it goes like that. And I just realized this morning when I got up, because I got up late this morning, and I had to get down here. I was like, I got to get downstairs. And I realized that I spend sometimes 5 minutes psyching myself up because my knees hurt so bad to stand up because I know it's going to be so painful. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, here we go. 1, 2. All right, give me a second. It's one of those things. And then you just kind of hoist you up. You're like, there's a lot of cursing involved. And then you kind of move around. And it's not as bad once I start moving around, but it's still bad where, if I go out for like a longer walk or if I have to stand for a while, they start shaking. Like my legs will actually start shaking because it hurts so bad. I'm thinking to myself, why am I allowing this? Why am I not going to the doctors and seeing what they can do with this? Is there anything that they can do? Most of the time I'm thinking, they can't do anything about this because I weigh so much. Maybe they can. So I'm going to go and find out.
Are you always worried that no matter what your problem is, they're just going to be like, well, the answer to that is to lose weight?
It's always that.
And it's like, I paid a copay for that.
Yeah, it's always that. I went to the chiropractor one time. He goes, you know what's wrong with your back? What? Your front. Really, doc? Is it 2-drink minimum here? I understand that. And maybe that's true. Okay, let's go with that. That's true. So then again, this surgery is going to be the tool to do that for me right now. Like I said, I'm really psyching myself up for this. Like I want the date now. I'm ready. Like this morning I came down. Yeah. This morning I came down and, I have to, as soon as I wake up within an hour, I have to have something. So I had a protein drink and some water, and then now I'm going through that. But today's a big day for me because I have this, and then right from here, I go to 2 doctor's appointments, from there, I go because my two daughters, one's a junior, one's a senior, it's prom.
Oh.
So I get to go and see them today. And then I come back here again. And at 9:00, I am recording another podcast called Podcast at the Roundtable with some other podcasters.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Well, I think the only reason I'm in that is because I know how to edit and they don't. But okay. So, yeah. So, no, I get to do that. But today's a real busy day. And by the time 9:00 rolls around, I don't know how I'm even going to feel. But I'm looking forward to next year feeling better. Like you did this, like when you went to the doctors and you're like, hey, get on that scale and let's do this and go through all this stuff. That's where I want to be next year. And I know it's very possible. And this is another reason why I'm doing this podcast and coming on here and bearing everything is because somebody, if they come across this and they're in a situation right now where, they're 100, 150 pounds overweight and they're in their 30s, don't wait like I did till you're almost 60 to take hold of this. Do it now.
No. And I think back maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I started to put on the weight and not care. And I was at such a point in my life. I loved my husband. I loved my home life. My work life was very stressful and my work-life balance was very stressful. A lot of that was brought on by me because I loved podcasting and I couldn't stop. So I let my weight go and I let my health go. And I thought, well, I'll catch up to it later. And it took doing a podcast because I knew, all right, I'm obsessed with podcasting. I'm not so obsessed with dieting. I'm obsessed for maybe 3 weeks and then it goes away. But if I had a podcast, if I had something that I'm already passionate about and I can mix it with dieting and losing weight, then maybe it'll be the kick that I need. And I think that surgery for you too that'll be what will really propel you.
And Emily and I are in a mastermind together. And I was in the hot seat where we call the comfy chair this week. And one of the things I came into was like, I realized that finally I said to myself, okay, you have way too much going on in your life. You have to scale back on some things. And what are those things going to be? And where are your priorities right now? And then list those priorities and figure out how you're going to do them. And then the ones that are at the bottom, just get rid of them. Even if people are going to get upset with you, even if whatever. You just have to
Have you done those yet?
Yes. So.
Do you feel a little relieved?
I was relieved as soon as we talked about it. I couldn't wait to do it because I wanted it off the plate.
Yeah. If anybody is interested, masterminds are amazing. You get together with other people who have similar goals to yourself. And every week, or how we do it every other week, we meet, we talk about our wins. One person gets, as John said, the comfy chair or the hot seat. And that's their week to kind of talk about, I'm having trouble with this, and this. And you have 6 other minds to give you ideas to look at the situation as a third party. And a lot of the times they tell you exactly what you need to hear. And it's not always the greatest advice, but that's the joy of having a mastermind, is being like, these are your true friends. If they're telling you this needs to go. I loved the mastermind. I was in the hot seat a few weeks ago and I was talking about my cover art for another show. And I loved the fact that I had somebody in the mastermind just say, yeah, your cover art that you don't like that somebody else made for you. I hate the kerning on it. I hate the, and I was like, thank you. That's what I need. You need that sort of support. You need that truthfulness.
Yeah, matter of fact, that was one of the clinchers is when one of the people in the mastermind said, who used to be a fan and listened to the show, he's like, yeah, I don't even listen anymore. I was like, that's it. If he's not listening, if I'm not entertaining enough for him, what am I doing here? So, yep, done, gone. And I felt good about it, to be honest with you. And it doesn't mean that in the future, if things change, that I might have some more time. But I don't consider any of this a failure. I consider this a learning experience. So I learn what not to do next time.
We're always learning. And that's something that I think makes life a little easier. You give yourself a lot more grace when you realize that you're always learning and that you don't have to have the answers to everything. And that's one of the things with parenting that stressed me out for a long time is, but I'm a mom. I'm biologically a mom. I should know this stuff. And it's like, no. Nobody does. That's why villages raise kids. That's why there were women all around you when you were giving birth and when you were raising kids. It's because we're all trying to find our way through this. None of us have the answers. We're just trying what we think works best, testing, adjusting, testing, adjusting. That's pretty much our lives. That's all we're doing until we die is just testing and adjusting.
I know with my children, the first one had the worst parents in the world. We were the worst. And I actually apologized. I said, you know something? I apologize. We were horrible parents. We didn't do right by you. And then we learned from that for the second one. And then the third one, and then the twins. So, we got better. And, even now, as they're older, they would come, like my one daughter says, I want to get a job working at a concession stand where there's concerts, and it's in a bad area. And, her mother's like, we're not doing that and all. And I said, okay, calm down, because don't you realize as soon as you tell them they can't, that's all they're going to want to do? Let's let them make the decision not to. Let's give them all the information and let them make the decision.
I actually think that's why I learned so much when I started listening to podcasts is because all that information was there and I was able to listen to it and get what I needed and what made sense for me out of it without it being prescriptive, which that was one of my turnoffs with a lot of weight loss podcasts was it was very prescriptive and it was very much like, well, you need to be doing this. And if you're not up and peppy, you will be by the time you're done with this. And I'm like, no, I won't. No, I will not. If you make me sweat, I will hate you.
Well, again, I think that there's different issues. Weight loss is different for everybody. What you're doing and what I'm doing is completely different. And what everybody in this group is doing is different. We don't care what you do. We don't care if you eat cabbage soup. We don't care if you do Weight Watchers. We don't care if you intermittent fast. We don't care what you do. We're just here to support you trying and going through everything.
And getting healthy. And that's the main thing. Even though it's called Hate to Wait, it's really just, hey, we all want to get healthier. We all want to live longer. We all have reasons that we want to get healthier. There's nobody dieting who doesn't have a reason to get healthier. You want to get healthier for the people you love, for your kids, so that you can live longer, so that you can do your job the best you can, so you can follow your passions, so you can travel, any of that stuff. And for the most part, the people in here realize that this is the only body that we're going to get. And we want to make the best of it and we want to improve it if we can. And yes, we've had slip ups and we've fallen off the wagon. And there are times when we've looked in the mirror and just hated what we've seen. But I think one of the things about this group and about this podcast, and every time I come live, is I'm like, I love this. I really do feel the energy of everybody just wanting to make themselves better.
Yep, I agree. Saying that, why don't we get into some Winning Wednesdays?
Yes.
Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday.
Ingrid says came out of maintenance and lost 1.6 pounds.
Was that better?
Yes.
I lowered the volume.
Yeah. That one always scares me. The doot sometimes scared me. I remember when you first started doing those on She Podcast and I would jump every time.
I'll never forget the time I did it. And it was so loud that Jessica threw her headphones on. She went, ah, and threw her headphones off. I swear I laughed for 5 minutes. I could not stop. All right, back to Winning Wednesdays. Julianne says, and down 3 pounds. So nice not to worry about eating outside my window.
Yeah, she started IF. So yay. See,
I missed that part of it.
Yeah. That was the first line. So.
Oh, see.
Brittany says, still haven't stepped on the scale today, but I did wear a dress that made me feel pretty. Yay.
Scott says, my son asked me to puppy sit while I went fishing in Canada with my ex-father-in-law. I ended up burning a total of 3,100 calories and walking the dog a total of 28.69 miles, roughly 380 human steps. In addition to my regular workouts and in the past week. The bonus was that I was able to complete my listen of all the Hate to Wait backlogs. P.S.
Yay.
When you binge listen to Hate to Wait, it's awesome to hear your progress over the past year plus. Keep it up and keep being an inspiration to us. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate
Scott.
that.
That's awesome. If I mess up the next person's
I think
name,
I did this one. I know.
Well,
she tells you it says it's Tamara.
Okay, but it could be Tamara or Tamara. I worry.
No, I'm looking at this. I'm saying Tamara. Tamara.
I am so sorry. Please, if you want to send me a voice message
Yes.
and let me know how to pronounce, because I really worry. Because that's the thing. If people mess up your name, it's something that sticks with you.
I
Like
know.
when people say Prokof, and I'm like, no, there's no F in my last name. Stop saying the F. But yeah, I understand. So she says, scale victory. I am down 2 pounds from last week. Non-scale victory. I can now tighten my belt another notch. Yay! And please, please, please let me know if we pronounce your name wrong. I want to get it right.
We're trying.
Yeah, I know. It's something very important to me.
That's what we're debating.
I know.
Amy says, down 2 more pounds and saw a new second number for a few days. I am hoping that number will soon be a new norm.
Oh, the new second number. So elusive sometimes. Annette says, I started Pilates this week and was happy to get to the end of this session without losing my balance or falling over. Pulling in my core and pelvic floor can start next week. Yep.
I don't know what any of that means.
A few people were talking about Pilates. Victoria and Julianne also talking about Pilates. I think I do, when I do my yoga, I do kind of a cross between yoga and Pilates. Mostly yoga, but a lot of the core stuff is
I thought Pilates was a Mexican dish at first, but I digress. Krista says, scale finally saw a new number in the 10th place. I've been trying to get under it for the last couple of months. I only weigh once a month. I thought the scale would go up, but it went down 3 more pounds. That makes 21 pounds total since starting January 1st. Non-scale victory. I didn't feel absolutely disgusting after seeing pictures a friend took of us while kayaking on Monday.
I'll skip me, but I did talk about I went to the lady doctor today as my winning Wednesday because that was, yeah. Lee, I ran a 5K in the freaking Rockies on a Sunday with a friend. Hills, hills, and more hills. But I finished in 50 minutes and 5 seconds. Excited to beat my time next time. That's awesome. And it's beautiful. She put a picture. Beautiful Rocky Mountains by the water. Oh, I just want to sit and stare at that picture now.
Forget about running a 5K. Running a 5K in the Rocky Mountains. Wow. Yeah, the oxygen there is not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would die. I would die. I would die. I know I would. Brendan says, had a meeting in the city yesterday. There was cake, muffins, and other unhealthy stuff provided. Not only did I not have any, I didn't feel like eating anything. Happy to wait till I got home and had my normal meal.
Yay. The next one is from Jason. And he says, also, not sure where my other comment went. I'm down 2 pounds. Turns out the way Facebook works, sometimes it'll say there's new activity and it'll show last week's Winning Wednesday. So for anybody who's putting their Winning Wednesdays into the group, make sure it's for this week. Just check the date. Check the date to make sure it's for that day. Because we don't always know to go back to the week before. I did see some people putting in Winning Wednesdays for last week, but I'm not sure when it was.
Oh.
So, yeah. So we're just going with the most recent one. And now I'm checking. I'm like, wait, this is the most recent one, right? Okay, yeah. But Jason actually said he logged all of his food with MyFitnessPal and his blood sugar is awesome right now. No sugar and lower than average carbs. No bread. RX bars for the win. RX bars are amazing. Oh my goodness.
I'll have to look at them.
They are not sweetened with sugar. They're sweetened with prunes, actually. And everything is wholesome. They put all the ingredients right on the front, and it's very basic. It'll be like 16 almonds, 1 banana, half an apple. They're kind of chewy. Oh, they have a lot of protein. They're actually one of the products that a lot of podcasts advertise because I first heard about them on Podcast 411.
Huh, how about that? That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know what time it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for the moment you have all been waiting for. It's time for the weigh-in.
Well, it is my week to go first, and I am down 1 pound.
Woohoo! Doo-doo!
So we're...
Doo-doo-doo!
Oh, wow. That was Emily in stereo.
Yeah.
So,
I realized I wasn't right on the mic, so I wanted to give you a good thing.
well, there you go. I still feel like I'm retaining a lot of fluid, and I don't understand why. So, I still feel a little bit swollen. As soon as we get done here, I have to rush to the doc. I have to go to the heart doctor, and also we'll see. And I'm going to make appointments. I'm going to set up for a new primary doctor, go in and go through all that and see what's going on and make sure everything's straightened out, because I just, like I said, I got to get a baseline, and then from there I can work and see where we're going. So that's mine. You, young lady?
Me, I am okay. I have a dilemma this week. On the scale at my doctor's, I was less than on my scale at home.
Oh, okay.
So I'm so sad about that, but not really. So from the weigh-in last week, I have lost and gained 0 pounds. Also, my scale, I kept stepping on it for the past few times, and I'll get on and it'll flash numbers, and then it'll just say low. And I'm like, can that just be my weight? I don't.
Well, it means it needs a new battery, doesn't it?
It needs a new battery. Yeah. So I put new battery. I was so sad. I was like, I'm perfectly happy with my scale just saying low. I have a picture of it too. I need to post in the group, because I was like, oh, this is the best weight ever. It just says low. Not even with a W though. It just says LO. So low.
Yeah. I had a scale where you'd step on it and it was over the weight. It would just go OL, like overload.
No.
I was like, damn, I got to get another scale. I ate through a scale.
I was mad because if you're listening to the show for a while, I got this scale for Christmas, and it's 5 months later, and the low battery. But when I opened it up, the batteries in them were the ones that they came with. So I don't know. Maybe the batteries they came with weren't as great as the ones that we have. I'm hoping it lasts longer than 5 months, because that's a little, come on.
That's true.
I'm only on it twice a week. So
yeah, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, again, but I don't think that's the thing. But the thing about it is that even though, like, again, I'm starting to get sour with the scale, because I felt like you had a really great week.
yeah, I felt like you had a great week.
Yeah, I felt like I had a pretty good week.
Yeah. And I'm in a plateau. And I actually want to look back at this time last year, because I remember going through a pretty long plateau, and it was in the warmer months. So I want to see when that was.
Mm-hmm. Again, I think that the scale is just a measurement. I'm not even going to say a progress. It's just a measurement. The same thing is if you wrapped a tape around you and measured your waist or your hips or something like that. It really isn't a measurement of your progress. It's just a measurement.
Right.
Listen, when you've had a good week. When you're doing better than you normally would do. When you're sticking to plan more than you would. And when you when you've screwed up. No one has to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, the scale is more, I know I'm doing well. Let me just check. And then when it doesn't say on their terms that I'm doing well, it's gotten to the point where I'm like, psh, what do you know?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I got it. Well, today, I said I was down a pound, but I'm actually down a pound and a half, but we don't measure half pounds here. So I was like,
Right.
I want to say pound and a half, but it's not, it's a pound. So I'll go with that. So next week, all I have to do is get down a half a pound, and I'm already there. I'm already a pound down. So we'll see what happens.
We are tied with our lowest we've been on the show. We're at 74 pounds that we've lost. We're tied.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, don't say, because last time you did that, I went crazy.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I'm saying last time we said that, I was like, okay, we're going to do this. And the next thing I know, I was like,
Both of us gained weight the last time I said that.
I'm gaining weight. I can stop.
I got to look at my calendar. I don't think Shark Week's coming for a while, but
All right.
I don't know. Maybe next week. I mean, that would be really nice to get 75. I just want to get to that 75. I was really hoping today would get to the 75. And when I got on the scale, I was like, no, I shouldn't have changed the batteries, because when the batteries were going low, one of the numbers that flashed was much better than this one.
See?
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for listening. And if you want to come join us, and we have new members coming in all the time, and thank you so much for coming over here. Just go to hatetowait.com/Facebook and just come on in and join in with the fun. We have a really good group. And if they're not a good group, we kicks them right out. Emily over there, she's got the broom and she sweeps them right out of there. So we appreciate you being here, and we'll be back here next week, and hopefully with we're going for 75.
We're going. We're going to get to 75. No, I'm not going to go if I have to, because that's bad. That's bad thought process.
That's a bad thought. But yeah, we'll get there. All right, everyone. Have a good week.
Bye.
But due to being a little off with my diet and exercise this month, I thought the scale would go up, but Seymour, damn it. I thought...
He reads whatever put in front of him, guys.
That's right.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Who put a question mark? Okay.